Did you know that changing your dog's food can make them sick, even if the new one seems healthier? Sometimes we end up switching the food because the dog got tired of it, because the old one became expensive, or because we saw a more natural brand at the store. And we almost never think that this can cause a strong reaction in their body. Many pet owners change the brand or type of food without imagining the real impact on the dog's body. Many pet owners think they are improving the diet, but they are actually starting a silent crisis. What seems like a simple action can cause a real digestive crisis. That's why it's essential to have the correct information about canine nutrition, and you can find it here on the Dr. Doug the Dog channel, where we share reliable veterinary knowledge to help you better care for your companion. Today, you will understand what happens inside your dog's body when food changes suddenly, why this change can generate problems that go far beyond simple discomfort, and what is the correct way to change food without putting their health at risk. We will explore the signs that their body gives when something is not working well and how you can prevent situations that could be avoided with simple knowledge. Let's start. Why dogs are so sensitive to changes in diet. The canine digestive system is very different from ours and works in an extremely specialized way. While we humans can vary our diet daily without major problems, dogs' intestines are adapted to a stable and predictable diet. Let's explain why this difference is so important. Dogs' intestines house a complex ecosystem of beneficial bacteria called intestinal microbiota, which needs constant balance to function properly. These bacteria are responsible for breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and keeping intestinal immunity strong. When diet changes abruptly, this microbiota is completely destabilized. Like a well-tended garden that suddenly receives a totally different type of fertilizer. It's like radically changing your diet overnight, except the impact on dogs is much greater because their system doesn't have the same flexibility as ours. That's why what seems like a simple change to us can be an internal revolution for them. What happens in the dog's body when food changes out of nowhere? Let's explore exactly what happens inside your dog's body when you make this sudden switch. The canine digestive process works like a very well-organized production line, where each step depends on the previous one. When completely new ingredients arrive, different proteins and distinct fat levels, this entire system panics. The pancreas needs to produce different enzymes to break down new proteins. The liver works double time to process fats it doesn't recognize, and the intestine tries to adapt to a totally new texture and composition. This generates what we call transient food intolerance, which is different from a real allergy. The most common symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, excessive gas, loss of appetite, and even mild fever in some cases. Many pet owners think the dog developed an allergy to the new food, but it's actually their body trying to forcibly adapt to changes that came too fast. These signs don't necessarily mean the new food is bad, but rather that the adaptation is being too aggressive for their body, when the situation becomes a serious crisis. Now, let's understand when these initial symptoms can evolve into something much more dangerous. The intestinal inflammation that starts mildly can progress rapidly if the digestive system continues to be bombarded with changes. What was just discomfort transforms into real inflammation of the intestinal wall, compromising the absorption of nutrients and water. At this point, the dog loses fluids and essential nutrients through diarrhea and vomiting, entering real risk of dehydration. The situation becomes even more critical when we talk about puppies, senior dogs, and animals with pre-existing diseases, like kidney problems or diabetes. These groups don't have the same body reserves to face a digestive crisis. A puppy can dehydrate in a matter of hours, while a senior dog can have cardiac complications due to electrolyte loss. Warning signs include extreme lethargy, pale gums, total refusal of water and food, and stools with blood. When any of these symptoms appear, the race against time has already begun, and the veterinarian needs to be sought immediately, because a few hours can make the difference between simple treatment and hospitalization. What makes a food change dangerous even if the new one seems better? Let's tell a very common situation that happens in veterinary clinics every day. The pet owner arrives worried because they changed the dog's food to a premium or natural brand, thinking they were doing the best for the pet, but the animal started getting sick. The big mistake in this thinking is believing that superior quality means automatic adaptation. In fact, premium foods usually have higher protein concentrations, different fats, and more complex ingredients that can shock the digestive system even more when it's accustomed to a simpler formula. When you change from food with 18% protein to another with 28%, for example, the liver and kidneys need to work much more intensively. These differences alter intestinal pH, modify the speed of nutrient absorption, and can even change stool consistency dramatically. That's why it's essential to understand that the problem isn't the new food itself, which may be excellent, but rather the speed of change. It's like asking a casual runner to run a marathon without preparation. The body simply can't keep up with the pace of changes. Before we talk about the right way to make the food transition, we would like to remind you that here on the Dr. Doug the Dog channel, our mission is to prepare you to be the best pet owner possible. So feel free to support our work by subscribing to our channel. Your support makes all the difference. The right way to make the food transition. Now let's explain how to make this change correctly, following principles that veterinarians have used for decades. The gradual transition should last between 7 to 10 days, allowing the digestive system to adapt progressively. On the first and second day, mix 75% of the old food with 25% of the new. On the third and fourth day, use 50% of each. On the fifth and sixth day, reverse to 25% of the old and 75% of the new. From the seventh day on, offer only the new food. During this entire process, carefully observe your dog's behavior, and especially the appearance of stools, which are the best indicator of how the adaptation is going. Normal stools should be firm but not hard, with brown coloration and without excessive mucus. A valuable tip is to record the start date of the transition and the type of new food, creating a history that can be useful in future veterinary visits. Remember that even foods from the same brand but from different lines, like puppy to adult, require this same gradual adaptation because the formulations are different. When food change is really necessary. Let's clarify, what are the legitimate reasons to change your dog's diet? Because not every change is necessary. Veterinary indication is always the most important reason, especially when the professional identifies food allergies, kidney diseases that require protein control, or obesity that needs a specific formula for weight loss. Life stage change is also fundamental because the nutritional needs of a puppy are completely different from an adult or senior dog. Puppies need more protein and fat to grow, adults need balanced maintenance, and seniors usually need fewer calories and more fiber. Reactions to specific ingredients like corn, chicken, or artificial colors also justify the change, but this should be confirmed through tests or careful observation. What doesn't justify the change is simply thinking one brand is better than another, or wanting to vary because you believe the dog is getting bored. In fact, most dogs prefer dietary stability, and changing on your own can cause more harm than good to their digestive health. The role of the veterinarian and pet owner observation. Let's tell how professional monitoring makes all the difference in a successful transition. An experienced veterinarian can evaluate if the dog is really prepared for the change, considering factors like age, current physical condition, and history of sensitivities. In many cases, the professional may recommend using probiotics during the transition, which help repopulate the intestinal microbiota with beneficial bacteria, facilitating adaptation. Some veterinarians also suggest a 12-hour fast before starting the new food, allowing the digestive system to completely cleanse itself. But the pet owner's role is equally important and irreplaceable. During the first days of transition, observe not just if the dog eats, but how they eat. Do they show the same interest in food? Do they finish the portion completely? Do they seem satisfied after meals? Does their mood remain normal or become more lethargic? Also, monitor the frequency and consistency of stools because they are the direct reflection of how digestion is working. These detailed observations are valuable information that helps the veterinarian adjust the process if necessary, making the transition safer and more effective. The false sense of security because they ate and were fine. Let's deconstruct a very dangerous thought that happens frequently. Many pet owners think like this: my dog ate the new food and didn't get sick on the first day, so everything is fine. This logic is completely wrong because damage isn't always immediate or visible. The body may be silently struggling to adjust, and problems can appear weeks or even months later. The liver may be working in overload to process different proteins, but signs will only appear when it can no longer compensate. The intestine may be developing low-grade chronic inflammation, which doesn't cause obvious symptoms initially, but compromises long-term nutrient absorption. Some late consequences include liver changes, development of new food intolerances, and even behavior changes due to poor absorption of B vitamins, which affect the nervous system. That's why even if everything seems normal in the first days, continue observing your dog for at least a month after complete transition. Subtle changes in coat, energy, or appetite can be signs that the body is still trying to adapt and needs professional help. Changing food is not simple, even if it seems so. Your dog's digestive system is sensitive and needs time to adapt to the changes you decide to make. Haste or carelessness in transition can cause suffering that would be totally avoidable with patience and knowledge. Loving a dog also means caring for what they cannot choose, especially what they eat every day. Patience and attention when changing diet are acts of love, not exaggeration or unnecessary complication. It's much better to do it slowly and carefully, following each step of the transition, than having to rush to the veterinarian later facing a crisis that could have been avoided. Always remember that your dog depends completely on your decisions to maintain their health. And now that you know how to do this correctly, you can ensure that each change in diet is done with safety and love.